What is the difference between mixing and mastering? Well, in this video, we're going to talk about that. Let's go. Hi, my name is Pete and this is Studio Live Today, where I help you create, record and release your best music. And if you're just getting into music, or perhaps you've been doing it for a while, you would have heard the terms mixing and mastering, and they mean different things, but sometimes it can get quite confusing as to what we're actually talking about. So in this video, I'm going to take you through the process from recording a song, what mixing actually does, and then what the mastering process is all about. So let's jump in and talk about that now. So let's start by talking about the processes leading up to the mixing and mastering phase, and that is your recording. So when you have a new song, you're going to write your song, you're going to record your song, and you're going to get to the point where you have all of your recorded tracks, all of your multi-tracks ready to mix. Now, what I do and what a lot of folks do is actually mix on the way in. So you're going to have done some of the mixing process before you even get to the mixing phase, so to speak. So that means that you've done some level balancing of your tracks, maybe you've added some effects even, maybe you've done some compression, some basic EQ, and you've got yourself a bit of a static mix. And it's at this point that we dive in and we will start mixing our song. So what does the mixing process involve? Well, it means taking all of those multi-tracks and doing a few things. Number one is getting a static mix, and that means that you get all of the levels of your tracks at approximately the right volume so that everything is sitting together in the mix and that your song is sounding cohesive. You'll then move on to other stages of mixing, which may include adding in effects such as reverb, adjusting your EQ, which is your volume at all of your different frequencies. And there's videos about all of these topics, which will be linked down in the description as well. And you can also go in and do other things like compression and all of the other sort of flavor type effects. So you might want to add in a flanger, or you might want to add some chorus. So that's all part of the mixing process. And what you're going to end up with once you've done all of these processes is a final mix. And this is where we jump from the mixing into the mastering phase of our recording process. Now, when you're starting out, and even if you've been recording for a while, you may not have ever actually mastered a song, but you're probably doing some of these things without even thinking about it, because what mastering is all about is about giving those final touches to your song. In fact, the mastering app I use here on my iPad is called Final Touch. And what that's about is using some things like multi-band compression, using EQ again, and the particular thing that's almost always done in mastering is what's called limiting. And that means pulling up the volume so that it's competitive with other tracks. So what you want to do is get your volume up near 0 dB. Now, in music, we use 0 dB as the maximum volume. So you don't want it to be clipping, you don't want it to be distorting going over that maximum. But if you have it down at -6 or -12 and you release that song, it's not going to be competitive with other mastered tracks. You want it to be up around that 0 dB so that it can be competitive when you're playing it. So if someone's playing it in a Spotify playlist or an Apple Music playlist, or listening on iTunes, if people still buy songs on iTunes, then it's actually going to be at a similar volume to all those others. So you may do that in your final mix, but what is a better idea is to keep your final mix a little bit lower and then to actually use mastering to bring that up, to limit that final mix, and then your final master is going to be at the right volume. So that is the key difference, is that mixing is about getting your final mix of all of your different tracks. Now, the one other thing to keep in mind is that when you're mastering, you're usually mastering a stereo file. So you're usually exporting your final mix as just 2 tracks, just your left and your right track, and then you'll master that. Now, you can master in your DAW of choice, your digital audio workstation. So I've mastered in GarageBand, and there's videos up there and down below about that. Or you can use a specific mastering app or mastering suite. And I talked about Final Touch on iPad, or you can use a bunch of others to actually master your songs. And there'll be some examples of those down in the description as well. So there you go. I hope that gave you a bit of an idea. If you've been wondering about this mixing, mastering, what they mean, what the difference is, hopefully this helps you out and has helped you understand a little bit more about the mixing and mastering process. Hey, thanks for sticking around. Now, my question to you is, do you master your songs? And if you do, what do you use to master your songs? Do you send them to a mastering engineer? Do you do it yourself? Let me know down in the comments. There's 2 videos also linked right down below that you can check out. You can subscribe by clicking or tapping on the Studio Live Today icon in the top right corner, and I'll see you on the next video.